Welcome to my channel. If you like the content, please subscribe for more.
A question about my W. Please read on. Those who are West present here, could you please explain this to me? A year-long IA with my W allegedly never involved any physical contact. After 19 years of marriage, ours was in trouble the last year, but she was able to get what she needed from a 9-officer client. She works as a vet. Jan, 20, was D. She claimed she broke up with him and wished to make amends for our 2 children, ages 15 and 11. She experienced a change of heart 2 weeks later. Over losing her app, she sobbed. She despises it when I predict that she will end up with him, but I could tell from her words alone that our relationship was over. She claims I make a lot of assumptions. She seems to be trying to make me believe she won't so she can claim it happened immediately following the divorce. She might be concerned that it would support my suspicion that she had engaged in physical contact with him. I have a lot of circumstantial evidence that she had an intimate relationship with him, but knowing that they got married would support my convictions. Why does it matter to her right now? She is achieving her goals. I can't help but feel like I'm in the middle of some twisted game my wife is playing as I sit here and listen to her spout empty promises about reconciliation and the value of our family. I'm not so sure about her assertion that the emotional relationship she had for a year with a 9-officer client was never physical. The way she talks about him and the way she sobs at the thought of losing him all point to a deeper connection than a simple platonic one. I can't help but feel that she's just playing me for a fool by concealing her true motives. Her actions speak louder than her words, despite her claims that she doesn't want to end up with him. What else could account for her hesitation to complete our divorce? How else could she have changed her mind just 2 weeks after making empty promises of reconciliation? She sees it all as a game and a way to hold me hostage while she mulls over her true desires. And I believe that she really just wants to be with him. She won't, however, admit it to me or even to herself. She is terrified of the truth because of what it could mean for our family, her professional reputation as a veterinarian, and everything else she has devoted so much time and effort to. But I no longer give a damn at this point. I'm sick of her deception, her games, and her constant pretense that everything is fine even though it obviously isn't. She will do it without me, but she can have her relationship with him and start a new life. I'll leave her and all the drama she brings and start over somewhere else with our children. She doesn't care what I think or what I believe in the end. All that matters is that she is getting what she wants. But she'll soon come to understand that the grass isn't always greener on the other side and that her actions will eventually come back to haunt her. And if they do, she will only be responsible for her own actions. Update. When I thought my chaotic life couldn't get any worse, my wife sent me a new update with a shocking turn of events. It transpires that her apparent emotional liaison with the 9-officer was deceptive. She had no feelings for him. She was using him as a diversion from the actual problem at hand. The real problem? It appears that my wife is gay. It all suddenly made sense after all those years of marriage, all those arguments, and all those misunderstandings. She never found me attractive, and she never really loved me. She was tearing herself apart from the inside out as a result of trying to force herself to be someone she wasn't. I should have noticed the warning signs, but I was too preoccupied with my own suffering and rage to do so. Looking back on our time together, I can see how hard she worked to conform to society's expectations of her. How does this affect our family, though? To our children? I'm not sure. We recently experienced an unexpected turn in our lives, and I'm not sure how to handle it. My wife is still my wife, but our already complicated situation has just become even more complicated. A part of me wants to be there for her, to support her during this trying time, and to let her know that she is still loved and appreciated. However, another part of me is hurt, angry, and perplexed. Why did she keep this important information hidden from me for so long? How could she deceive me in such a way by acting otherwise? I suppose it doesn't matter in the end. Both of us are in pain and finding it difficult to accept this new reality. The future may be uncertain, but at least now we can be open with one another and face it together. Update. When I thought the situation couldn't possibly get any more complicated, another update showed up with some genuinely shocking information. Evidently, my wife had experienced a dark event. My understanding of everything improved after I spoke with the 9 officer's wife on the phone. She was inconsolable, and it took me some time to get her to stop so that I could make out what she was saying. Evidently, after my wife went to personally meet the 9 officer, things became violent. His wife claimed that my wife attacked him and left him bleeding and bruised. She had been yelling and ranting about how he had destroyed her life, tricked her into telling a lie, and forced her to hide her true identity from the public. It appeared as though she had lost her temper and let all the hurt and resentment she had been suppressing finally out. My wife allegedly ran off into the night and hasn't been seen or heard from since. According to the 9 officer's wife, she ignored my calls and texts when I tried to contact her. It appeared as though she had vanished without a trace. What to make of it all is beyond me. I have some serious concerns about her and wonder where she might be and what she might be and what she might be up to. Yet another part of me is furious, indignant that she could let her suffering and rage overcome her and cause her to act out in such a way. I'm at a loss for what to do at this point. I can only sit here and wait for her to come back to me so that we can tackle whatever lies ahead of us. But as time goes on, I'm beginning to lose faith and wonder if she'll ever return at all. Recent update. The last update I got on my wife was probably the most shocking of all. She was currently detained in a jail cell awaiting trial after being arrested and accused of assault. Although I should be happy for her, I actually feel bad for her. I don't want that psycho to re-enter my life and bring about more havoc and suffering. Perhaps now she will finally accept responsibility for her actions and receive the assistance she required. Being happy that someone you once loved is now incarcerated is a strange emotion. I can't help but feel relieved that she is no longer a threat after everything she made me and our family go through. I'm still trying to make sense of everything that has happened and process what has happened. But for the time being, I'm just happy that I can now move on with my life and begin to mend from all the harm that has been caused. Who knows what the future will bring? But at least I have the opportunity to rebuild my life and the lives of my children now. I suppose this is the best result we could have hoped for in the end. By no means is it a happy ending, but it does have a conclusion. That's all we can hope for in life at times. Story 2. Wife tried to return to escorting in secret need advised. Sorry if this is the second place I post this. Truth is, I don't know what I want. I just want advice to help me through this mess. Met my wife 9 years ago. We met as client, escort, but instantly hit off. Booked her for an hour. Had amazing S-time. I paid her. We went to have dinner and ended up having S-time all night. From then on, I never paid her. We started dating. I was okay with her escorting. After 6 months, she told me she didn't feel comfortable escorting with our relationship getting more serious and she got a normal job. We ended up married, ups and downs like everyone. Last year, money was very tight. For reasons beyond our control, we lost both our jobs in January. I was 3 weeks out of a job before I got a job again. In that time, one of her friends is a single mom with lots, and I mean lots of drama on her life. Invited her to a job cleaning some houses that ended up paying my wife a 1/3 of what her friend told her they were going to get after 2 weeks of very hard work. This friend does S-time work on the side. I don't judge. She introduced one of her friends to my wife. The kinda sugar daddy by accident found a conversation going back and forth between her and this guy. They never actually did it as per the conversation due to the logistics, but they had planned canceled a couple of times. My take is this is cheating, as she never told me anything, asked me if I was okay with returning to escorting and hiding stuff from me. Also, the guy proposed her a couple of trips to Disneyland, paid, and suddenly my wife started to tell me she wanted to go with her friend to Disneyland as girls. Trip, not something I would be okay even if she was getting paid. She claims it's not because it didn't happen, because I found out, and she was doing it for us as the financial situation is extremely tight right now. I need some input, as my emotions are too strong. I'm very hurt and confused. I love her, but this very much seems like betrayal to me. If she had come to me and talked about it, it would be different. I might have said no, but would equate with camming Ellie fans. Also, my other take is her friend has to be out of her life, is we are going to get back. A part of me feels like she planned to whole underpaying my wife a lot, as she has mentioned before that she gets compensated very well for getting new girls to her sugar daddy. Update after conversation with wife. I was able to finally have a in-person talk with wife yesterday. While I stand on my position that the decision to go ahead is purely my wife's responsibility, her friend was planning to profit from this. This did change my view of things, but still I don't think that I can continue the relationship, but did make me understand what wife was going through. My wife jobs last 5-6 years have been white-collar middle entry in a good industry. The cleaning job was not something my wife was used to. It was a shock for my wife, but we needed a bit more runway while I got another job before our savings ran out. When the job was finally done, her friend came back with a sob story of them getting underpaid by a lot. If they were supposed to get about $1,600 each for the 2 weeks, gave my wife $550. Friend had been telling my wife that she didn't deserve to be cleaning houses, and more poop like that. The day after she underpaid my wife was even more desperate, as we had planned to pay very specific things so we could buy time. At that time, I had some very good news from a couple interviews, but the time from them to getting hired to getting paid takes about 45 days in my industry. We needed that money, so we didn't deplete our savings before I got paid. That's when she encouraged my wife get in contact with the SD. My wife was embarrassed that she could not help us and wanted to cover the money that was missing. After I found out, my wife went to stay at her mother's house. She says her friend kept making fun of her and tells her to use this opportunity to make a lot of money. She has other people she can introduce to my wife. My take, her friend was planning to pimp her. At least from our conversation, wife doesn't want to return to escorting or S-time work. She wants a regular job, even if we don't get back together. For her, escorting is something she did when young, not what she wanted to this stage of her life. Update. Well, where do I even begin? Let me update y'all on the latest developments in my life as the husband of an ex-escort. As y'all might remember from my previous post, my wife and I have been going through a bit of a rough patch lately. But let me tell you, it's nothing a little bit of sugar daddy drama can't fix. So, apparently, my wife's friend, who happens to be a single mom with drama in her life, as if that's relevant, invited my wife to do some cleaning job that ended up paying her peanuts. And as if that wasn't enough, this friend also introduced my wife to a sugar daddy who she was planning on having some sort of arrangement with. Now, before y'all go judging my wife, let me tell you that they never actually did anything. They just canceled a couple of times. But here's where things get juicy. This sugar daddy apparently proposed a couple of trips to Disneyland, paid, and suddenly, my wife started talking about going on a girls' trip to Disneyland with her friend. And let me tell you, I wasn't having any of that. I mean, who does she think she is, going on trips with her friends and having a good time while I'm out here working my ass off to provide for us? Anyway, I confronted my wife about this whole situation, and she tried to play it off as if she was doing it for us because our financial situation is tight right now. But let me tell you, I wasn't born yesterday. I know cheating when I see it, and this was definitely cheating. If she had just come to me and talked about it, maybe we could have worked something out. But no, she had to go behind my back and hide things from me. And don't even get me started on her friend. I mean, I've always had a bad feeling about her, and now I know why. She was probably planning to pimp out my wife or something. And let me tell you, if my wife wants to get back together, that friend of hers has got to go. But in all seriousness, I did have a conversation with my wife, and while I still don't think I can continue the relationship, I do understand where she was coming from. The cleaning job was a shock to her system, and her friend definitely took advantage of her. But at the end of the day, the decision to go ahead with the sugar daddy thing was my wife's responsibility, and she's going to have to deal with the consequences of that. So, there you have it, folks. The latest update in the life of a husband of an ex-escort. Stay tuned for more drama because you know there's always more where that came from. Story 3. Wife of 10 years gave me stuff. After I supported her and our children for 10 years, my wife of more than 10 years got a job. She convinced me it came from a toilet seat after she tested positive for a STD after 6 months. She returned home at 5 a.m. yesterday and refused to speak to me 3 weeks ago. She admitted making a mistake when I pressed the matter with her in the morning. She admitted to me that she was dating a man she met at work. After work, she went over and snuck him at his house. She informed him. She was married and had kids. He showed up at her workplace last night, and they spoke until 5 in the morning, during which time he claimed that she ended things the day after a few months ago. I left the house and am now sitting on the beach contemplating my options. There seems to be a lot more. I feel like poop. How do I proceed? I feel foolish. How is it possible for someone to discard everything and then ask for it back? I'm new to this, so hello everyone. My partner's F1 nightstand with a client at work was something I recently learned. She only decided to come clean with me because she had an STD that needed to be treated. I came off as negative. She has been seeing the same customer for weeks, invited her to dinner, advised her to take a chance, and then cheated on her. She ended it and warned him not to return, but last Friday he did, and they spoke into the wee hours of the morning. She knows firsthand, so I would never have called her a cheater. Her previous, most committed relationship ended when she contracted STD from her long-term partner. She admitted to me that she doesn't understand why I didn't eject her and that I didn't make her leave. Every time I'm by myself, I'm overcome by feelings and images. We've been married for 10 years and have 2 children. I had initially been unfaithful to her. However, the act only took place 2 months ago. She claims that it was the worst mistake she has ever made. She is obviously hurting as well. When I pressed her for a full explanation, she did her best to explain what she was going through. It aches. She was instructed to leave me and the kids for this man, even going so far as to express his desire to begin a family with her. Am I wrong for telling her to stay so quickly? Update. That this is happening to me is unfathomable. I believed we had it all. A happy marriage, a good life, and 2 adorable kids. And now she does this, discarding everything for a random coworker she met. Why was she so foolish? Why was she so self-centered? I'm aware of my past transgressions, but I believed we had matured past them. I believed that by resolving our issues together, we had become stronger individuals. But right now, I'm unsure of my thoughts. I'm not sure if I will ever be able to believe anything she says or if I can ever trust her again. What about our children? What will they do when they learn the truth? What will they think of their mother and of me? Will they hold it against me if I don't leave her and don't shield them from everything? I can't stand the idea of them experiencing a broken home and having to deal with the fallout from our errors as they grow up. However, it might already be too late. We might already have caused irreparable harm to our family. Perhaps we won't ever be able to bounce back from this or replace what we've lost. Maybe this will follow us around for the rest of our lives. I'm at a loss for what to do. I'm unsure of how to proceed. I only know that I feel betrayed, lost, and alone. Class updated. My world feels like it has fallen apart completely after learning about my wife's infidelity a week ago. The response from my friend surprised me. He advised me to simply forgive her and move on, as if doing so were simple. He doesn't comprehend my feelings of betrayal and hurt. Even though my family has been more encouraging, it still feels hollow. They assure me that leaving her was the right decision, but I can't help but feel inadequate. Even though I was supposed to be the one to keep our family together, I was unable to do so. When my kids learned about the situation, they were surprisingly sympathetic. They affirm my love for them and tell me they know why I'm leaving their mother. But I can't help but feel that by leaving the family home, I'm leaving them behind. Though it seems like the only choice, leaving her still hurts, knowing that our 10 years of marriage weren't enough to convince her to stay faithful hurts. Knowing that I have to rebuild my life as a single father hurts. Knowing that I must attempt to put my broken heart back together after it has been broken hurts. It's impossible for me to shake the feeling that I was a bad husband and that I'll never be able to trust anyone again. I'm currently experiencing excruciating pain and rage, and I'm unsure of how to get past it.